Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now, we'll take you through the front pages of the papers to see what the headlines are saying, and we'll also open the phone line so you can be a part of the conversation. But joining us is Uade Ahimie. He's the head strategy and public affairs for Nairametrics. Good morning. Good to have you, Uade.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Great minds in support of our country wear color green.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have one person that is...
It's not really... you didn't really get the memo.
We allow him. He's just come back from home.
Because I'm American. And, you know, one of our presidential candidates was recently almost assassinated, so I'm just...
I wonder why I'm not wearing plaster on the right side. That would have made the balance. Let's get into the papers this morning and see what the front pages are saying. Our first paper this morning is the Punch newspaper. Minimum wage. National Assembly gets bill Tuesday as Tinubu, Labour agree on 70,000 naira. Federal government says minimum wage for review every 3 years. Labour leaders justify new salary. President directs payment of NASU, SANU's withheld salaries. OPS rejects electricity tariff. Customs intercepts 3.6 billion naira bulletproof jackets and drugs in Ogun State. Unilorin student dies, others injured in campus crash. That's sad. 423 billion naira probe. El Rufai alleges buyer, 6 case transfer. Crude supply. Federal government continues fuel importation as reps probe IOCs. Reps plead against anti-government protests, accept 50% salary cut. CBN resumes BDC dollar sales. Naira weakens to 1,570 naira to the dollar. And final story, APC knocks PDP governors. Military mobilizes against mass protests. Let's move away from the Punch newspaper. The next paper this morning is Daily Trust.
Daily Trust newspapers this morning. Why we accepted 70,000 naira minimum wage from Labour. We just heard from, one of the Labour representatives here in Lagos, and he did give, some explanation. He said the government said that if they paid, if they agreed for 250,000 naira, they would have had to increase the price of petrol, and so they had to be understanding with the government's perspective or something like that. A lot of it, that wasn't very, very clear. But stop blaming federal government for your failures. APC replies federal government, or replies PP governors. I also should mention that the Labour representative just now, Mr. Dejum, also mentioned that the private sector, is a clog in the wheel of the fight, that Labour has. That they're one of the reasons that Labour was not able to get its 250,000 naira demand. Senate moves to establish local government elections commission. Kano politician Dan Biki handcuffed and flogged for criticizing Kaduna governor. We can also find here in Kenya, win for Gen Zs as court suspends police ban on protests. JAMB pegs cutoff mark at 140 for varsities. And finally, marketers to publish daily landing cost of petrol. These are the stories on the Daily Trust this morning. Let's quickly bring in Mr. Ahimie. Let's first, 70,000 naira minimum wage is the biggest conversation in the country currently. So let's start with that, along with the House of Rep members deciding to forfeit 50% of their salary for 6 months as a show of solidarity and support to the Nigerian people.
Well, when you actually really consider the fact that it's been 70,000 now since sometime last year, when they gave the 35,000 additional allowance, thereabout. So you find out that I don't know whether most of the states are paying them, but at least the federal government to a large extent have been trying to do that. So I guess it's become convenient, and I guess it was part of the things that were put into the budget because they did make some provision. I think it was about 1 trillion or 500 billion in terms of wage increases. And that was the question of when we were talking, how do they fund it? If those provisions had been made based on the 70,000 or the additional 35,000 that was being paid by the federal government to...
I heard that was suspended at some point. Did they continue with that additional 35,000 till date?
It did continue.
Okay, I think...
So, like I said, I guess at the end of the day, it's just some, it's a convenient place to land. You mentioned something now about what the Labour Union representatives said about increasing the price of petrol if you increase minimum wage. Are you trying to tell me that the price of petrol is not reflective of the cost of petrol in terms of landing? You also mentioned just now about marketers to be publishing landing costs. You don't need marketers to publish landing costs. Just go onto some of their sites, even the NNPC, what's it called? You find out how much the landing cost of petrol is.
Yep.
It's not rocket science. So I don't know why we're saying that. But yes, we've finally come to the end of this discussion. Some people, like you also mentioned, like the labor union representative mentioned, private sector has also been a challenge. Yeah, but it would be a challenge when there is rising cost of doing business everywhere.
Yeah.
Power, inflation is continually going up. Cost of, if you don't have power, it means the alternative sources of fuel, which makes production even more and more expensive. These are things that the federal government should quickly find solutions to, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of logistics, and all, so that production can get back to where
Yeah.
to at least to a level where we can say we're producing enough for the country.
Yeah, would you argue that Labour had no choice than to accept 70,000?
At this point in time, we would have been on this road. Like I said, I do think that, in my own opinion, I think 150,000 was a bit out of the way. Maybe between 125 and 150,000.
I mean, they had said they wouldn't settle for anything. A number of the times we had interviews here, they had said they won't settle for anything that's less than 6
figures. But like we continue to say, and we continue to insist, the reality is clear. There is no fund for it. One of the questions we asked now, we're talking about off air, was how are they going to fund it? We saw a few days ago the federal government talking about doing a one-off windfall tax on banks' revaluation profit. Most of those things, have they been realized, those profits? Because if they have not been realized, you can't tax them. And realization of those profits, because it's an exchange rate issue. So it was at 450 or 500, let's say, it moves up to 1,000. So your loans, which are your assets that you book, some of them have not come back. And we're seeing more and more banks provide in terms of impairments for non-performing loans. So where exactly are we going to get these monies from? Everybody has been asking that question, and I know the battle has just started, because the accountants and the forensics are going to start looking into everybody's books and telling you whether they realize the profits or not. And the banks also are asking them to raise capital, and it's going to cost money. A lot of them are already in the market looking for capital. So how are we going to fund all these things? And if we've been funding technically about 70,000, some of the states, like Edo State had said that, a few other states had said that, and I guess that's where the states were comfortable. And the president had to be realistic, and Labour has to be realistic. Otherwise,
right. I mean, let's also ask Nigerians what they think about it. If you're watching, of course, you already know that we've come to a middle ground between Labour, or the organized Labour, and the government. The 70,000 Naira benchmark is the agreement now. Is this something that you're in support of, or do you think that they probably should have agreed a long time ago instead of waiting till we get to this time?
I mean, when they offered 62,000, they probably should have just accepted 62.
I mean, so I want to hear what you think. Are you okay with the 70,000 Naira? Let us know by calling the numbers scrolling on your TV screen to be a part of the conversation this morning. There's another story I'm seeing here on the front page of the Daily Trust. Senate moves to establish local government election commission. I want to hear your thoughts on that, because ever since we saw the conversation about the autonomy of local governments, we started to hear, although this particular conversation preceded the court case of the autonomy, there are people who have been calling that we should take away conducting elections from the hands of the State Government Election Council and then make it something that the INEC should be able to handle. But now the Senate is calling for local government election commission. Do you approve of this?
So even before all this happened, around 2000, 2001, I remember when this case first went to court and we spoke about it. Remember what I said? It probably end up that the federal government will win this case, because initially when it went to court, the federal government, in my own opinion, did not really do its job. It's clear. The Constitution is clear about local government autonomy and funding. Very clear. The state governors know that. The state commissioners for finance know that. It's extremely clear. So there was no need. So when people don't do their work, are you with me? Of course, whoever pleads this case and they see the justices see merits to it, they would give you a benefit of the doubt. But this time around, and I knew that the federal government was going to win this case, it hasn't changed what is there. It hasn't changed the fact that the local government and the state will have a joint account. It just means that the local government has autonomy to its funding, meaning that when it gets there, then you must move the amounts of money. Local governments have always known how much should come to them from the federation account.
Very true.
They've always known. So the issue was the state saying, and I don't want to go back in history, but we know where it started from. And now, the same way with the elections. The first local government elections that were run in this dispensation of democracy was run by INEC. And after that,
all right. We have a call from Kaduna. Christopher is calling. Good morning, Christopher. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead with your conversation.
Okay. My own agreement, the president said he agreed to pay 70,000 naira. Isn't it? Okay. Hello. That's it. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. The 70,000 naira to me is not fair. It's not fair. If those states can pay 70,000 naira to their civil servants, I'm a civil servant also. The 70,000 naira is not fair. As a federal government worker, 70,000 naira to me, I do not accept it. It's not fair. If they want to pay 70,000, all this while they have been wasting time all this while. The even level to accept that 70,000 naira is not even fair also. The 70,000 naira cannot buy anything in the market. If you go to the market, you use 70,000 naira to buy anything. You cannot be able to get anything reasonable. One bag of rice, how much are they selling one bag of rice? One bag of rice is more than 70,000 naira in the market. And you're asking us to accept 70,000 naira. To me, it's not fair. I don't accept it. Thank you very much.
For calling. All right. I mean, we're seeing what they're saying concerning this. It's not fair. I don't know if you're done with the Senate conversation. Senate and
I totally agree with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that they should take it out of the hands of the states and let's run proper elections. Are you with me? Yes, the states will have some level of input in it, but I don't see the reason why state governors will not run proper elections.
Do you think that it changes much? And here's why I ask. We've always had local government chairmen, right? I mean, a lot of states have, except for those who have caretaker committee chairmen or whatnot. But the Nigerians, every Nigerian citizen doesn't know who his local government chairman is, because...
I do think with this...
Yes, you think that...
With the focus that you have on the presidential and state elections from a national perspective, this is an opportunity to start speaking that message also to the local government. Because within the states, you don't even know what the state government, some of those states, you don't even know what the state governors are doing.
Yeah.
You don't even know when the elections are. They just say, oh, there's an election on Saturday. No campaigns, no nothing. But this, I think...
So it's an opportunity to enlighten more people as to what they're looking for.
Like I said, there was a local government election in this dispensation in 1999, and local government chairmen and councillors were elected. People campaigned.
Yeah.
People won elections. They were there for 3 years, and since then, the states have barely, many of them don't even run elections, and when they run elections, they don't even know when the elections hold.
Yeah. All right. Now, the House of Rep members, in solidarity with the Nigerian people, because they're so kind-hearted and, angelic, have decided to offer a 50% salary cut for themselves. How grateful should we be as Nigerians?
I guess we should be grateful. They finally decided to consider we Nigerians, but it's sometimes we need to also play to the gallery, and I guess this is what they're doing. So everybody can come back, and then their constituency will say that they've done so much for the constituency, but we've still seen too much extravagance in governance expenditure. So I don't think that 50% of their salaries, which salary? That's the question you need to ask. Is it their total package? Or
no, I think it's just basic salary.
So how much is their basic salary?
300,000.
You see, when they say these things, they should tell us exactly what they are talking about. How much is their basic salaries? 1 million, 2 million, 50% is 1 million. How many of them? 300 and...
Probably about 600,000 naira. So, they're losing 300,000 naira on the average.
600,000. So they're losing 300,000 on the average.
Yeah.
So let's even equate it to how many of them in total?
360. Yeah.
360.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's even do it at 400. That's 1.2 billion.
All right. Good morning, Abdul.
And we're looking for 6.2 trillion to fund the extras that the government is asking for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Good morning, Abdul.
I'm on the line.
All right, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Are doing a best job to make Nigeria knows what is happening, current affairs of what is happening in the country. Please keep it up. I want to contribute to two issues that you are discussing: issue of local government autonomy and the issue of the 70,000 minimum wage. The 70,000 minimum wage you are talking about is too small for the current economic situation in the country. Go to market and go and prices items, commodities, you see that they are very, very expensive. To buy tomato, rice, for a father, mother, and even 4 children, this 70,000 naira cannot go anywhere. However, based on what your first man that you interviewed from the Labour said, that the federal government are planning to even increase the fuel price beyond what you are facing now. If the federal government increase this money and federal government cannot control the market prices, you will see that this 70,000 naira is even less than 30,000 naira minimum wage. Because by now, as I'm talking, the market people, the market sellers, they know that the federal government are planning to increase the minimum wage to 70,000 naira, and most of them increase their commodity. So what you can say now, or what the federal government need to do to us, the civil servants, is to have a fixed price, market control, so that even this 70,000 naira will be able to excess it to even serve our family. That's what I want to discuss about that. Then concerning the local government autonomies, if the local states are still conducting local government election, it's more or less like local government does not have any autonomy. Because if I myself, as the governor, let's say the governor is the one that's now appointed in his own party and said, go and contest, then you'll be getting your money directly to your local government. Then there'll be an agreement between the local government and the state. Even if they are not controlling it directly, they can control the money indirectly. Before, when I started working as a civil servant, it's local government that employed me directly. All of us know that local government do employ staff, but now it's state that employ for local government. So the INEC should conduct elections so that the party, even the party of the governor in the state, can lose election in a particular local government. That local government will be able, at least, to sustain their people, to bring the development, necessary development need in that particular local government from the ward, even from the constituency, down to the local government.
Saimia. I mean, he does have a fair point. One of some of the things that he mentioned.
And I agree with his points. Like we started off, there were local government elections conducted in 1999. Are you with me? And since 2002, we haven't seen local government elections. And it was really, really a major event in the country, across the country. Because chairmen, local parties actually did campaign. We don't even know who is campaigning. We just hear that there's a local government election. And then we say, oh, they've returned the chairman and all the councillors. Who are they? Even, like you said, you don't even know who they are. So I think this is the best thing to happen. It brings in the local government electioneering process into the consciousness of everybody.
Because there are a number of people that don't even know when their local government elections are happening.
And if a lot of people don't know the relevance of the local government.
Yes. There's many conversations that
you see, when you've been beaten, bruised, and battered, you just tend to just wake up in the morning, go about your journeys, and come back. You don't even want to bother about whether because you've gone to the local government and you've complained about things, nothing is done, nobody tells you anything, so you just come back and sit.
All right. Let's look at the front page again of the Punch newspaper. This is a story that is not just on the Punch, but also on the Daily Trust. Top right corner. CBN resumes BDC dollar sales and Naira weakens to 1,570 to the dollar. We've seen the dance between CBN and Bureau de Change in the past 1 year or a little over. So do you think that this is a positive step in the right direction?
Well, I guess because yesterday the parallel market had hit about 1,690. That's almost 60 Naira difference. And you don't want that. What the CBN is continually trying to do is see how they can make the differential not more than between 2.5 and 5%, 2.5 preferably. So I guess that's why they are trying to intervene in that market to try and at least cushion the effect. We've seen relatively a lot of stability within the market, which is something that we had continued to push for. I never did think about the naira gaining so much against the dollar. What we really required was stability so that businesses can plan. And we've seen over the last 6 months, there's that stability between 1,400, 1,600, and people can better plan. So I guess that's what the intervention is, because of the market is already hitting the 1.6 mark.
All right. Crude supply, federal government continues fuel importation as reps probe IOC. So I want you to respond to the recent worries of Aliko Dangote. I was going to say cries, but he's been complaining a lot, about the IOCs, seeming to fight, his the success of his refinery. They've made mention about how the refineries, would be active, maybe by August. I only saw this morning, I think it was, this morning, representative of federal government, I'm not sure who now, saying that they haven't even given the refinery license and it's only 45% completed. So talk about the controversies surrounding the whole Dangote refinery and where we seem to be currently.
Importing petrol. That's where we are. That's where we're going to be for a bit. And let's also remember that even with the Dangote refinery operating at optimal capacity, there may still be need for you
to import.
Yeah, to import. Just might not be as much, and the pricing it should drop a bit because most of it is local. But if crude prices continue to go up, then expect that refined petroleum products would also follow international market suits. As for Dangote complaining, he's a businessman,
right?
And so they all are. Let's remember, in business, it's about you being able to play in that market, and it's an open market. So if you think your pricing is going to work the best, then put in your pricing and push your product out into the market. Right. If others do believe that by bringing it in from outside it's cheaper for them, then let's see how it goes.
Yep. Okay, I want us to quickly touch on this before we wrap up the newspapers. On the front page of Daily Trust, it says, Kenya, win for Gen Zs as court suspends police ban on protests. And I want you to talk about this vis-a-vis our situation here in Nigeria. There have been calls for a protest, potential protest from the 1st of August. There have also been reports, allegedly, from the police. There have been some reports that there might be attempts to stifle the protest. So talk to us about, your thoughts on Kenya's protest and how much influence it has had. And if Nigeria's protest were to happen, how much influence do you think it will have?
I do think that everybody has the right to protest, and the responsibility of the police is to ensure the safety of lives and property of everyone, both those who are protesting and those who have properties along the routes of protestation. Their biggest fear always is, it would be taken over by hoodlums. But the question is, if you prepare properly, are you with me? How do those things happen? Yes, some people will try and infiltrate and do it and try to start a few skirmishes here and there, but that's your responsibility to provide that succor towards safety for lives and property. So they should sometimes letting young people let out their burst of anger, are you with me, calms them than all the other frivolities that you find them ending up having to do. Everywhere you read today, one person did some drugs and killed his parents. One person did this and did that, because there's nowhere to express that anger. For as long as you make sure that you protect the lives and properties of those who are not on the protest ground, then I do think everybody has a right to protest.
And also just be reminded that that's your responsibility, because they seem to forget that it's their responsibility to protect those on the protest ground.
Exactly.
Instead, of course, they use that to scare people away from protesting. Exactly. Same thing happens with the Shiites a lot.
Exactly.
Uade Ahimie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me, as usual.
As always. Let's take a short break. When we come back, thank you very much to all those who called, also from different parts of the country.